Great. Well, picking up on what we're talking about today, it's glad to have Colin on with us, who's our resident expert on a couple of areas of focus. We're talking and drilling in a little bit deeper on a lot of the work that we help and support our financial services and fintech partners with, and particularly around the Databricks platform and how the modern data tool stack has emerged to really become this 1+1 = 3 scenario of data architecture. And I think one of the biggest areas that we come against in financial services or tackling problems is despite the architecture, you still just have this underlying need for compliance and visibility and transparency. It's just not something you can get away from. It has to kind of be cooked in right from the start with financial services. So I'm fortunate enough to have Colin here, where we can actually get a little live demo, kind of picking up with picking up on the state of let's say we have a pipeline in place and we're starting to think about some, compliance work, and we've built out some analysis on it. But how can we actually get more visibility into the actual data state? So I'm excited to, maybe hand over the reins to Colin and show us around a little bit how you take the approach and what are some of the tools that we would use to tackle that inside the Databricks stack.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Josh. Let's dive in. I think hopefully everybody saw our last demo, knows the current state of it. But if not, we have a Delta Live table set up.
Link into it.
Yeah, go check it out. It's great. So we have a Delta Live table set up that's feeding data into Unity Catalog. A couple other moving pieces in there, but basically for kind of compliance, data governance, auditability. I wanted to showcase a number of the things in Unity Catalog that I think are game changers for people trying to manage their programs and keep things well governed. So with the tables we've set up from the demo, we have 6 things coming in. Our source tables, customers, sanctions, transactions, and then we have the views that we created, with the final one being our compliance report. In Unity Catalog, you can basically manage all that stuff very, very granular from here. Who has access, what can they see, who's using it, what tables and assets are connected to this lineage-wise. It's all in this one simple view. So we kind of want an overview of this window into your data. And I'll start with the lineage. So if you remember the pipeline we created in DLT, gave us a beautiful graph that showed kind of the DAG of how this was getting created. But in Unity Catalog, you have a similar view that gives you the full lineage of this table. This is the last step in kind of our pipeline. So it shows where everything's coming from, but we can start going backwards and exploring. Okay, we have flagged transactions, flagged customers, transactions. We know flagged customers is not raw data. So we go back even further and see it comes from customers and sanctions. And you can even go and click on any of these fields and show where they come from. So if you click on total flagged amount, it'll show that that was calculated from this value. And you can go and you can trace that all the way through and see where that's coming from. There's the raw data, so it's not coming from anywhere from there. So this view is really great for just getting a sense of kind of what's connected to your data. Even more so, you have this this really great view of what assets are touching this data, and that includes notebooks, workflows, pipelines. So you can see the notebook that we created to build our DLT pipeline is there, the DLT pipeline itself, the dashboards that are built using this data, and anything else is really all in one place, which is really key. In terms of being able to audit what's going on and who's viewing this data, you get kind of a top level insight from this Insights tab, where you can see, okay, who are the people who are querying this data and what are their queries. So frequent query shows up, frequent users, and you can also dig into these different things in the tables themselves. So we have in Unity Catalog kind of a couple core tables that allow us to get into this. One is the query history table. So you view all of the kind of queries that have been run against any specific table. This is a pretty simple one, just looking at compliance reports, see if I can find which queries have run against it. And then another one that gives you even more data if you're building out kind of compliance dashboards and reports is this audit table, which goes very much into detail in terms of like who's accessing what thing, what parts of it did they access it, when, from where, all sorts of things like that. So there's a ton of data in here that gives you just like full kind of view of how your system is being used and really how a specific table is being used. So you can see the statements, you can see the types of warehouses, you can see who's doing it. So this is a ton of data that they give you to be able to manage your kind of governance program with and your compliance reporting on how your data is being used.
And just so I understand, this was, how much of this is, do you have to put hooks into your data, or is this sort of natively tracked across building out pipelining and infrastructure inside of Databricks?
This is a great question. This is free. So if you're using Unity Catalog, and especially if you're using Delta Live tables, you can get all this stuff for free based on just everything being fully integrated. But anything
I understand too, it's natively turned on by the provisioning of new instances, correct? So this is just sort of part of what's set up. Yeah.
If you're starting a new Databricks instance, all this stuff is turned on from the get-go, which is great. And then if you're building out any pipelines or anything, it'll keep track of how everything's connected together in intimate detail, which is not everybody needs all those details, but you want them if you need them.
Yeah, I was just saying, I'd take it over not. It's such a complete 180 from we've both come up in this industry and have been building data infrastructure for many years, and thinking about how hard to get to lineage and some of these governance and actually like auditability at this level. I mean, just amazing to think about this by default. It's pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, we've come a long way. It's exciting time to be alive.
The future is now, Colin.
Future is now, old man.
Yeah, that's great.
Nice.
Well, thank you for taking a walk through the platform. I think that's just, that level of depth is amazing. I've seen a couple levels down, but that's really, I mean, I can only imagine, particularly in the use case of financial services team, having can definitely make a CTO kind of sleep well at night knowing you have that auditability, but built at a strong foundational secure architecture and with a lot of the tools built in. It's pretty amazing to think of what you could build and kind of future proof the needs as you think about scaling, like as organizations scale and the types of compliance requests or even anti-money laundering processes that can come up that you don't even know yet. You have some of the details to start tracking future needs too. So I can even see some of this kind of like turned on enablement is future proofing some of the scale and need that you have down the road.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, having it on by default can definitely give you a lot of confidence in the platform, and be able to service your needs in the future. So
wow.
Just not having to do a bunch of extra engineering work to get all this stuff makes me happy every single time.
Yeah, for you and I both, having spent a lot of time tackling governance projects and taking legacy systems and migrating in to get some level of this is pretty amazing. So very cool to see. Thank you again, and we'll look forward to seeing you on other parts of kind of where the Honor Data Stack is in really helping enhance the financial services space. Thanks, Colin.
Yeah, thank you, Josh.